Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. So I'm filming this on the eclipse. The eclipse was, like 1 a.m. or whatever where I'm at Mountain Time this morning. So we're coming off of that really super intense solar weekend. I think we had like 20 plus flares, including an X flare, and really, really high solar winds, like almost up to 900 kilometers per second. And that's the highest I've ever seen them. And I remember 2 years ago, or even like a year ago, whenever they would approach 500 kilometers per second, I would start having really intense physical symptoms. Like I could never catch my breath, and I'd be having all this like thymus looping, and just like dizziness. And with them being this high this weekend, I mean, I felt weird. I had a whole range of stuff going on. I was really fatigued, and then once that X flare came in, like I was actually sun gazing while the X flare was coming in. I didn't know that it was coming in, but normally when I watch the sun as it's setting, I'll see like green around it, but I was seeing like magenta and like all these like patterns that I don't normally see, and I was like, oh my god, there was a moment where I almost felt like scared, almost like scared, excited, like it was just so intense, like this whole next level. And then I found out that was like exactly when the X flare was coming in, so that was really exciting. But then I was like super ecstatic from that energy, and then all this like synchronicity and flow and like soul connection and just like flying high and feeling like that 360 connection. And then I just started feeling like super overwhelmed by the end of Saturday night, because then Saturday we had like the KP, the geomagnetic storming level 8, so it was like mild, moderate, strong, and severe, and we were in severe for quite a while. So a lot of like really top level energies, but I felt like, kind of like pressurized and, just like overwhelmed. And even today, my nervous system, like noises are kind of bothering me. I feel a little edgy, but, and always kind of feeling that way on eclipses anyway. But compared to how it was before, and how high and intense these energies are, it's like, I mean, it just really feels like we're slipping through that eye of the needle. The message that I had been getting several times by the end of the last week, and even still, is this victory message, where it's like we're just moving into this territory that we've been working towards for eons. A lot of us for eons, and a lot of us are starting to find each other and being like, oh my gosh, look at what we're doing now, because we're just, we're at this threshold point where it's like just the turning of the tides. And like right now, of course, we're right in between, we're in between the eclipses. We still have that, the solar eclipse on the 8th. So it's like, I kind of feel like I'm in a cartwheel at the moment, where it's like my feet haven't come back to the ground, but the overall feeling, I think I'm going to have trouble with the lighting today, but anyway, that doesn't matter. But yeah, the overall feeling of the energy, despite the intensity, is just like victory, like almost like overwhelming, like don't have words for it, victory. So I'm gonna jump into the cards and see what wants to come through today for these energies. So I'm filming it on Monday the 25th, where I'm at in New Mexico, and I'm gonna post it tomorrow. I always post it the next day, just it's just how I like to do it. So okay, so overall energy for right now. Let's see what we get. Oh, wow. Okay, dove spirit, be peace. Yeah, it's really interesting. Not sure how much I want to go into this, but I've been having all these synchronicities around. I'll just go into it. I've been having these synchronicities around the founding fathers. And so this started for me 2 years ago, or maybe it was 3 years ago. It was like when the jabs were out. And so when that came out, and I talked about this in another video, but you might not have seen it, but like I just felt something in the energy, like in the energy signature collectively. It's like, whoa, something shifted in the realms. Like it used to be like I would be really thrown off by stuff if I exposed myself to it, if I was, if I just like made bad choices for my body. But like I'm not even exposing myself to this, and I'm feeling it vibrationally around. And what it did for me is it kicked up real visceral, not specific linear, but visceral memories of other long ago. It felt like Atlantean times of like, and also off planet, like genetic hijack, and like my mind just went like, oh, because I'm thinking of some of the people that might be listening that might be like, what is she talking about? She's crazy, but whatever. Yeah, just genetic hijack and dark agendas, the dark agendas, and it hooked me up throughout time and space of like all the times and ways I have had experienced, been involved, been around that, and it was just horrifying. It's like I had to look Satan in the eye, because I felt the energy of that distortion and of that hijack. And so around that time, I started having all these synchronicities of the founding fathers. And what was coming through for me around that was this like, oh my gosh, we've been at this for so long. So like with American, with this eclipse, these eclipses coming up, this eclipse on the 8th, and X marks the spot. And then the repeat from last April, with the last eclipse, and and that one was actually pretty much right over where I'm at. It was seen from, or was that the one in October? Yeah, October was right over Albuquerque. And so anyway, all this stuff with America right now, right? So, but the founding fathers, and being the only country with a constitution, and then that constitution obviously being channeled, I feel it was channeled and like consecrated, and like the planting of the seeds that, it's like a long game. It's a long game that we've been playing, that a lot of us, probably anybody listening to this, we've been playing a really, really, really long game. And so the seeds of that, that being like a really big turning point where something was anchored and consecrated. It's taken all this time, but sprouting now, coming to fruition now, and I'm getting chills. And so with the pine needles, and the pine needles being a remedy for some of those side effects, with the blood. And so there was all that stuff coming through with the blood last week, the clearing of the blood, and the channels being symbolic of the channels of our heart through the unified field, right, where we have greater access through our pineal glands and all this. Okay, so the pine being one of those purifiers and one of the remedies in the physical sense, but there's a medicinal, there's a spiritual meaning of the pine as well. So this was something that was coming up 2 or 3 years ago, whenever it was before. And now all of a sudden these synchronicities are happening again, like right now, right during the time of this eclipse. So I'm just noticing that. And then, the position of the eclipse over America. So then I had this dream that had to do, it was like a father figure. So there's the founding fathers and the divine masculine energy again. And he was telling me how I had to get these shots. And I was like, oh, well, I've never had any shots, and I'm not, and there was no charge to it. It was just, he kind of presented like an archangel in a way, where he just kind of like said this. And I was like, yeah, well, I'm actually not going to do that. Like, I'm never going to do that. And then he was like, yeah, okay. So it was like, almost like I was looking at like a PowerPoint presentation, or like a poster that had all these different like figures, and, or almost like a crime scene, where like this connected to this, connected to this, connected to this. And when I told him I wasn't going to do it, he just kind of like nodded, and it's almost like waved his hand. It was like whoosh, and it gives me chills. It all went away. Like the whole, and the crime scene being like, linking back to the founding fathers, linking back to Atlantis, linking back to that like star system over here where there were these galactic, just all the web of all the ways that this like, this darker energy that we've been slowly chipping away at within ourselves, within the collective, within our lineages, within our life streams, for eons, like just dissolving. So again, and that's after like 4 or 5 different synchronicities around victory. Okay, so Joe Hammond had, I think that's how you say her name, but she had posted something about the sacred masculine and like America, and like the clearing of the dark agenda. And so I shared a little bit about the synchronicities that were coming in the pine, and she said to me that the pine is a symbol for upholding the field of peace. So here it is, our first card, peace. Be peace. It's like we are peace. We are being peace. This is how we're landing this. This is what we've been doing. And so I was sharing some of this with a friend today, and I was talking about how, it's interesting because before, when those synchronicities were there we go. We're coming up. I was sort of caught up in the duality, and I was really watching the politics, and kind of caught in what was like a fourth dimensional perspective. And we have to go through the fourth dimension to get into the higher frequencies. So that's just where I was at in my journey. But at a certain point, it was actually the dolphins. There were like all these dolphin things that were coming in, dolphin synchronicities, and they were basically telling me like it's time to focus on higher. It's time to focus on being a piece. This is how we're going to shift. This is how we're going to unify and collapse that polarity and duality. So that's what I've been doing ever since then, the last 2 or 3 years, focusing on this. So the fact that this sort of like duality of like countries and founding fathers and like, political agendas and stuff like that started coming back into my field through synchronicity and in through my dreams, it was significant to me because I haven't been in that energy for a really long time. So yeah, so something really about like a grand victory at this time throughout long stretches of time, and just like that slide that just kind of like dissolved, and all the different connections dissolved with it. That's what I feel this time that we're in right now is like a cyber blast, and I'm feeling that in my family as well. My second family with my kids and their dad, there's just all this stuff sort of being corrected in a way, or being like dissolved is kind of the energy, which is kind of interesting because when I was this hooks up with when I was first leaving in 2009, when I was leaving my marriage, and I had this vision. It's when I first started having visions because I really needed help, so it was like, okay, we gotta give this to her. But it was like I saw a house of cards, and I saw myself like pull one card out, and everything fell, and then I saw it, and then it reformed, and I saw it slowly dissolve, like where it's like this is a long-term project, so right as like that's kind of like really like purifying now, 15 years later, however many years later it is, feeling again like a fractal of what's going on, because I really do feel that a lot of like the dynamics that I played out with my family, with my ex, we've gone back since Atlantean times, and even though we were sort of enemies for a while, it's like we chose to do that, as a fractal of the unraveling of what's going on the larger scale. Okay, so all these sort of like closures, victories coming in at this time. So anyway, bit of oh my god, 12 minutes, are you kidding me? That's crazy. All right, well anyway, I hope that was I hope that I feel there are transmissions in that, because there was a lot connected over a long period of time. So thank you for hearing that. So the first card that we get is the Seven of Swords. So there it is. There's the in one of the other decks that I have, like for me, it's like it always comes through as separation consciousness. That's kind of how I see this card. But like the fragments, the web of lies, the web of distortions, the strategy, the conniving, the like trying to get away with something. Okay, so again, it's really interesting that that's coming up as the first card. It's kind of the energy that we're unraveling. It's interesting also that there's this raven right in the front of this card, because ravens are about like earning the right to experience more magic. It's a shift in consciousness. It's a huge up-leveling, which is what I feel is going on right now for all of humanity, this huge up-leveling. So it's almost like the clarion call, where he's just like there were all these different analogies that came to my mind, but I'm not sure if any of them fit. But just almost like the trumpet, trumpet, like the call that's like, or almost calling out this energy where it's like time is up. The thing that came to my mind, and this came to my mind in meditation this morning too, was what is his name, Porky the Pig, where it's like, that's all, folks, and I'm like, why did that come? But it's kind of like that. It's like game over, game over. So. Yeah, I'm glad I gave all those details actually, because it's a bit of a context to like where my energy's at and how I'm feeling all this. So okay, the next card we get is the King of Fire. Okay, so this is the leader and the leader of the heart. The leader of the heart. This is the sacred masculine again. The founding father, the father figure, the guide in the dream that just kind of gives you your choice, and you say, yeah, I'm not choosing to give my energy to create that reality any longer. And he's like, good, correct. You have passed the test. That's another part of the victory symbolism that was coming. The things that were coming through for me had to do with like the feather and the weighing of the heart. The weighing of the heart. Look at his beard, is almost like a feather too. It's like, is your heart light as a feather? And so there were Anubis synchronicities, 3 of them in a row, literally right in a row. It was so crazy. I woke up in the middle of the night to this this vision of him, and then saw two different posts on Facebook because I couldn't get back to sleep from two different soul connections that I had recently met, and they both like independently posted these like gorgeous photos of Anubis. I was like, oh my god! But this is before I had three different messages, synchronicities around the weighing of the heart, and being permitted into the afterlife. But the afterlife now is in a body, that higher consciousness, that higher frequency, that peace, that out of the fuckery. This was never what was true, elevating into that higher frequency, the weighing of the heart, the victory. Okay, so yeah. I feel like there was something else I was going to say, look at how the sun is activating us. Its crown chakra is all lit up. It's like we're rising in frequency. Our pineal glands are activating. We're finding our connection through, like what I was saying last time, the channels being open and clear, where we're like, it's so easy to connect to whatever it is we're trying to connect to pull through the solutions to the problems, to pull through the parts of ourselves that are needed to pull through, to connect with whatever it is we're connecting with, unveiled, crowns open, all this solar activity that we just experienced. We've been purified. We've been purified into this place. I mean, this is a card of purity as well. So, okay, so let's see. There was one card that fell out. Look, it's the sun. Yeah, exactly. So there it is, really highlighting the sun. And even this, look at this. This is interesting. So here, can you see it in this card? Yeah, the sun, it's like coming down on him, like it's being highlighted, like, hey, there's the flashlight, like you thought you were in the dark sneaking around, but everything is lit up now. Everything is illuminated. Nobody can get away with anything, even ourselves, even like with my family, like any little things that needed to be tended to that weren't, it's like the spotlight's on them. The spotlight is on us. The spotlight is on whatever the fractal of this energy is, whether it's in ourselves, in our families, in our lineages, in the collective, on the political scene, in the world, in the galaxy. It's all being illuminated. The sun is working so hard, And this was, obviously this is divinely timed. There's the prophecies, the Hopi prophecy, the sixth sun, the fifth solar cycle, the solar game. And here it is again, the sun. And the healing of the sun, the purification of the sun, assisting us, bringing this through for us, this victory. Yeah, it's interesting because, again, along the lines of like feeling all this solar energy and not being like super affected by it, there is the assistance of the sun and the assistance of everything else, but really everything else that assisting us is still us. It's like a manifestation of all the work that we've done, a manifestation of the work that we've done and highlighting, bringing to light within our own consciousness throughout our Akash, like me, like identifying, when that energy came around and I was like, oh my God, wait a minute, this is reminding me of something. And then it was just like, whew, the lights went on that whole Akashic journey with the dark, where it's like, I just had to I had to sit with it and stare it straight on and be like, I remember now. I remember in this time, my divinity is stronger than you. You are not taking me down. And enough of us standing in the power of our sovereignty and of our divinity where we're literally dissolving this. And so, yes, there's assistance, but I don't even really feel it as assistance. It's like a collaboration. It's a co-creation with the galactics, co-creation with the animals, with the oceans, with the whatever it is that's assisting us. It's like we're assisting us. We're all assisting. We're all adding our pieces together. We're all playing our role in this harmonization is the word that's coming to me. And again, we were talking about that last week with all the harmonization happening in the heart, the clearing of the channels of the heart, everything working towards this illumination, this freedom, this peace on earth. God. Okay, so I'm going to pull an oracle card. 18 minutes. It's funny, the first 12 minutes went by like that, and now I expected it to be another 10, but it's only been about 5, so that's good. I trust the timing. I like to not have them too long, because I think that can be kind of overwhelming. stillness. Yeah, exactly, stillness. So this is kind of the feeling that I was getting from peace as well. It's like where, you know, there's all this trickery and there's all this commotion and running around in the dark and, you know, like flipping the script and flipping the stairwell and, you know, like just trickery. And it's like when things are illuminated and the truth of reality is revealed, it's actually quite still. It's actually peace. You know, it's peace. The channels are open. There's connection to everything. You know, it's just it's stillness. So yeah, that's really beautiful. All right, I'm going to do the wizard deck, and I was noticing today, I never really looked at the back of this card so clearly. It's like a crystal and the dragon and almost like a sword, you know, the sword of truth and the crystal. But it's like, to me, the way it struck me when I was shuffling the cards today was like the activation energy with the dragon, but also the DNA activation with the crystalline or crystalline light bodies. And so yeah, I felt like there was like, I really felt a reverence for this deck. So maybe let's see what message comes through from this deck. It really highlighted itself to me today. All right, let's see. So what else do we want to say? Oh, okay, interesting. So the Seven of Wands, yeah. So there's that kind of like, it is an activation energy with the wands, because the Seven of Wands is an energy of like remembering, remembering kind of like what I was saying when I remembered the journey. I kind of remembered the darkness, and then I remembered like why I was here, where it was like, oh my gosh, you know, then it came back to, oh, okay, I need to like be peace and hold peace, because this is something we've been working at for a very, very, very long time, and this is a long game. And it isn't, because this card can also be about defending yourself and kind of battling, and that message of like, this isn't about a battle. Like it is a battle, but the way to win the battle is not to battle. The way to win the battle is to embody the higher frequencies, where we're out of range of all this fuckery, you know, where we're out of range. And that's what a lot of us have been doing, and that's what the sun has been doing as well. And again, this activation where it's raising our frequency and activating our DNA so that we're outside of the realm. We're outside of the frequency. It's almost like, you know, if you have say you have a dynamic with a certain person, and you're the victim and they're the perpetrator, and you're in victim consciousness, so you have a match to their perpetration. You know, you match it. But once you rise in your sovereignty and you no longer see yourself as a victim and you come into your power, it's like that exact same person. This is what happened with my ex. It's like he can become a friend because you just don't have the matches to that part of them. It doesn't pull it out in them, and they, you know, and it's like that you've just transcended that dynamic. So it's the same thing on a larger scale with the fuckery and the perpetration of the world. You know, it's like once we raise in frequency and we raise our consciousness, we're no longer a match to it, so we don't have to really worry about it. It's again that dissolving, like the slide screen dissolving, like in my dream, where just, you know, once I said, no, I'm actually not playing that game. I don't play that game anymore. I've been this whole time, so I don't play that game. And then it was like, okay then, you know, like correct answer. And then everything dissolved. And so what's interesting about this card is it can be both a defense and a fight and a battle against that which is not aligned with you, but it's also a card, and I'm getting chills, of just remembering who you are. You know, remembering who you are and who you've always been, and coming back to that peace and back to that stillness and embodying it, so that the slides can dissolve. The slides can dissolve. It can just go away because we're no longer feeding it. We're no longer giving it our energy. We're no longer giving it our attention. So for some of us, you know, we've been doing this for a while, and we've kind of been, you know, holding the frequency, to raise the frequency, to help assist this. But I'm also feeling a second message where a lot of humanity that didn't quite get that dolphin. Many, you know, the dolphins hadn't like been like, hey, be joy, you know, like play in the water. Like, I know it feels like you're putting your head in the sand, and that you're you know, turning a blind eye to everything that, you know, needs to be called out, and, you know, needs to be battled. But, you know, this is the higher way. This is you know, the higher frequency that then, like the sun, you know, that like the sun trickles down, we become a sun as well and transmit that energy. But for those people that haven't gotten that message yet, I feel there's another round of that happening now, where people are starting to realize that you know, the way to battle this, the way to play this game is to rise above it. Not rise above it just as in like turn a blind eye or be oblivious. That's what we do in 3D. You know, we have no idea what's going on. But after we traverse through 4D for long enough and we play this game and we do this battle, you know, we rise above and we embody what we want to create. We're still amidst it. We're the calm in the storm. We're the eye in the storm, and we embody that which we're manifesting, because we manifest, we pull through, we create with our thoughts and our focus and our choices and our beliefs. And so we believe in this and only this, because this is the only truth, and we allow the clear channel of our heart to guide us. You know, we win this game. How do you win this game? How are you allowed access? How does Anubis assist you, you know, in the afterlife, which is really ascension, which is really living in the higher frequencies on this planet, creating heaven on earth? How do you walk through those gates? Your heart needs to be light. You can't be battling. And it's like, yeah, again, it's important to understand the darkness. It's important to go into it, like me with the example that I gave, where I remembered that. I had to remember my past. I had to remember what I had been through. I had to remember what I was doing here, why I was here again, you know, from that time to the founding fathers' time to this time to everywhere and else in between. And in fact, there's no time, so it's all right now. It's all right now, collapsing into this. Okay, but you know, but connecting with that darkness, so because the darkness is it's the catalyst, it's the alchemist, it's how we gain our knowledge, it's how we gain our wisdom, and how we gain our power. We gain our power in our darkness. So we have to turn towards it. We have to go into it. We have to go down those rabbit holes and understand what's going on, and go down and get the gems, or get whatever it is we have to get there. But at a certain point, you know, we're called back up. And it's interesting, because in that last reading I was talking about the life stream that I have, like where there's a part of me that's like always in the hell realm. You know, in a way, there's like a parallel that's down there, and it's been doing this work. And then I started getting those messages about the lightness of the heart. And it literally, like in the tarot readings that I would do, just I pull a few cards in the morning, I was always getting the same cards. And the devil card was there. And the devil card in that deck is like huge. He's like so huge and like amazing. And then there are like these tiny little people chained to him. But it was this message of like liberation and rising out of that, where almost like, you know, that part of the journey, that part of the mission is over. You know, there's been a victory. You won down there. Your heart was pure amidst that. And now there's this victory and this moving. So I'm sure a lot of you are relating to that, because I know a lot of us, if you've done that dark dungeon-esque, you know, Anana journeys, where you were down in there doing all that alchemy, you know, and very astral, you know, it's very in between realms, it's very shamanic, you know, it's like, and some of us did that, like I did that for pretty much at least 2 years straight, but then there was more of that less consciously earlier, you know, and getting to this point where it's like, you know, you passed the test, it's dissolving. But I feel like this is again, fractals, you know, the realm walkers that have been doing that work out on the edges for a while, you know, are released, but as a result, as a ripple, in tangent with that is tangent, I'm not sure if that's the right word, but I think you know what I mean, like in correlation with that is all of humanity as well being released. That's what I'm feeling. Okay, so let me pull from this Slavic tradition tarot deck. Okay. The Knight of Swords. Okay, the Knight of Swords. So this card is a very fast movement, fast communication. Let me pull a clarifier on that. I wonder, are we going in a different direction here? Fast communication, fast movement. I mean, this kind of makes me feel like whatever is, sorry about the lighting, whatever is coming through with this energy and with these eclipses, because we are in this eclipse portal, that there's a rapidness to it. Let's see. Let me clarify. Let's see. Oh my God. I am so sick of this card. I get this card every single time. It's like I've had this deck it's fairly new. I got it maybe like a month ago, and I get the same cards over and over and over, like vulnerability, protection, surrender, and discernment. Those are like the only cards that I ever get. But this one, more than any of them, and the way it always comes through for me, and I think this came up in the last reading and probably the one before that too, but like gathering all the pieces together back into wholeness. So if this is a card of separation and all this like sort of fragmented, divisive, duality, fighting amongst ourselves, the battle. This is where we gather it all back. And yeah, this did come up because this was coming up last time in terms of like our life streams and gathering all like the wisdom and of our soul journeys and bringing it all in, so that we have access to it in this life stream, this life that we're conscious of right now, like, consciously choosing to pull it all in. But in this instance, I feel like it has to do with that distortion that I'm talking about, like, and again, like the collapsing of the slide where it all kind of comes back into one. But the fact that it's coming out to clarify this like very fast moving card, I feel like this is like a fast collapse of this distortion. That's very exciting. It's funny because 2 or 3 years ago when I was really kind of like caught up, or again that fourth dimensional trek, I was just like waiting with bated breath, for everything to fall. I just wanted it to be over, and it pissed me off, and it made me so mad. And then it was like, oh, this is a long game. We've been at this a long time. There's a divine timing. Just do what you feel guided to do. Be peace. Be in service. And it's all gonna come through when it comes through. But it really kind of feels like that time is now. Because I was also getting this sort of feeling of like the finish line, like crossing the finish line, like bolting across the finish line. Now, does the finish line, crossing the finish line, is that now it does say fast movement, but there's no time, space, and especially not from where these messages come from. So it's like, is that like a week? Is that, is that a month? Is that the rest of this year? Is that, like 3 years? Even that is not that long. It's like the time is now. We're crossing the finish line now. If we think about that, we've been at this for eons. We're in the finish line. We're crossing the finish line now at this point in human evolution, no matter how long that lasts. This to me, because look, even like the red, like you run through the red tape, you run through and and it breaks and you got through, and then you kind of like you're kind of like the horse, we were running so fast, it's almost the cartwheel again, where you run so fast and you're slowing down, and you might even stumble and do a cartwheel, but it's like we're crossing that line at this point in human evolution, and again, it's been such a long game that the start of that, the process of that might take longer, but that's where we're at. Oh my God, I'm really feeling that. Wow. I was excited to do this reading because I really felt pretty overwhelmed Saturday. God, this guy's beautiful. Saturday night, I felt like I was in a pressure cooker where I was just like, it wasn't like a blood pressure thing like it was in the past. It was just more sort of an energetic thing where I was just like, oh my God, okay, just lots of showers and, it rained, and just like kind of like doing anything I could to just and I just like Sunday, I just laid in bed all day and I watched this really great video about like the scalar universe, and for friends on Facebook, I posted it. It was just so amazing. It took me like 4 hours to watch it because I kept pausing and just like making all these different connections, and then I'd like go do something real quick and come back, but just really allowed myself to just like lay around and do absolutely nothing. And so I was excited to do this reading because I wanted to see what was going to come up, because it's been intense. It kind of took me offline in a way. I just had to rest. I think a lot of people probably felt that way. Okay, so let's see what else. Oh, the High Priestess. Okay, yeah. Well, it's also interesting. Part of what was coming up in that video that I watched, she was talking about monatomic gold and monatomic powders and the activation of the pineal gland. And so I've been really guided to, ever since like what I was talking about last week with the channels, the open channels with the heart, and how like just the reminder to intend for what we'd like to bring forward, because it's a time of receiving where we can literally like instant manifestation, so again, focusing on what we want, right? This card kind of being symbolic of that, focusing on what you want. It's a 3 card, which is also forward movement, where things are fleshing out in the physical. So just asking for what you want. And so I've just been kind of intending for more again, that clear channel, like more, just really inviting that to flesh out as much as it wants to. Like, oh my God, the channels are clear. What all can I do in this energy now? Like, there are things possible that weren't possible before. So instead of just sort of unconsciously going along, it's like being really aware of like, hey, I can, discerning, like choosing. What do I want to call forth? what is the highest potential for everyone involved, and what is the highest potential for me, and with no lack and limitation, which is what we've been hijacked into believing is the truth of reality. Now that these veils are coming off, it's like we get to play, we get to create, we have access to everything, we have access to everything. And so, but the monatomic particles, it's like, because we've been kind of like in this makes me think of a horse at the gate, where you kind of been in this like holding pattern because of the false reality, and like just kind of waiting for that moment where we cross the finish line, or even finish the finish line, or start the race, where it's like we're going now, right? It's like I really felt guided to order some of that monatomic gold, just to kind of like push through a barrier, like push through a barrier, and really open it up, because it's possible now. It's possible now. I mean, for me, it just felt like an absolute yes to do that. But that's the first thing I thought of with this card. I've been having a lot of synchronicities with the owl today, which is also, an intuition high priestess card, with the owl and with the pineal gland and the third eye and the crown. So I've been having a lot of crown and third eye energy going on, with all the high solar winds. That's kind of how I felt it, where it was just a lot of activity up there, but also synchronicity with a new soul sister connection that I made recently. And she sent me this like beautiful carving of this wood, and it was like this like a high priestess, really, and she had this this diamond crown on her head. And I have this African mask in my room down there, because I was at the desert house, and it has a blue diamond crown, blue diamond right on its, well, hers was on the third eye, and mine was a little bit higher, but it was such a link up where we were like, whoa. And she was actually the same woman I had all the owl synchronicities with. I didn't even think of that. If you're watching this, like, there it is again, the owls, and then the intuition, right? The high priestess, the divine feminine, the divine feminine within all of us, that's been, kind of like waiting, waiting to bust through, that's like able. So here's another message of that fast movement. There's a lot that can come through right now. That's what I'm getting from this. A lot that come through now that we're like through this cloud, up above the cloud is this rainbow light body that has access to everything, and to really intend to pull it through. I feel a message of that. Sometimes I'll feel that in sessions with people where it's like their guides, or I'll feel like all this stuff sort of humming in their astral realm, and usually not astral arc field, and usually by the end of the session it will come in and it will integrate. But there's usually something like I need to say it out loud, and I need to kind of like let them know, like, there's a lot available for you right now, should you want to invite it in. And then usually there's some part of them, whether they say it out loud or not, that's like, oh yeah, I want to invite that in, and then just that thought of like response in relation to what I say allows it to come in and integrate. So it's kind of similar to that. Okay, so a little bit of advice there, I guess. And again, now that these pathways are really clear, and this is a little bit of a repeat message from last time, but I feel more clear, more direct, more clear. We are every week further, we get more stable into these energies. 37 minutes. Okay. But inviting this in, because there's a lot available to us right now. The channels are clear for it to come in. But again, like we were talking about last time, ask and ye shall receive. We have to ask. We have to use our will. This is a card of will, leading with our heart, but like spiritual will, divine will, leading and creating our realities by aligning with what we want. And what do we want? But more connection to our higher selves, more connection to the truth of who we are, the truth of what's possible, the truth of the limitlessness of this realm, as we step outside of the mind control and the hijack and the false reality that's been overlaid to keep us from coming into our power. Because when we come into our power, we are out of range of this. And so again, as long as we battle this energy, we're still in the same frequency of battle. We're in the frequency of polarity. And so we continue this. We continue to feed this. We continue to feed, so to pull out of the battle, the same frequency, same level battle, and we battle by leaving the battle. That's how you win the game. And so, and part of that is connecting calling in and connecting with our higher powers, because again, that's what this game was all about, to keep us from, because once we claim that and we move into that and we live from that, they can't feed anymore, and then it's like poof, it's like there's no food source. So it goes. So the more of us that can really lean into this and call this forward, the more we can assist the rest of humanity that maybe is still either believing in this or caught up in the duality, in the battle, caught up in the battle. The more we can be the high priestess, the more high priestesses there are, the more we can really call that through and live from the fullest potential of, I'm noticing I have this, everything becomes a tarot in my life now. I have this fairy, she's smelling a rose, so there's the rose, the divine feminine energy. I would take it off and show you. Should I take it off and show you? I think I will. It's pretty spectacular. My mom got me this a long time ago. So there she is. She's smelling the rose, but the light, when the light is behind it, her crown is really lit up with this bit of flowers that she has around her crown. But the rose, the divine feminine, the high priestess. Look at my big tarot card. It's like a puppet show. But yeah, there she is. But also connecting to, because what I'm noticing is, and also with this new friend that I have, with the owl, I was thinking today when I was driving, we have like a high priestess connection, but we also have a fairy connection. So, and I was talking about that in the last reading, like the different sort of like codes that we have activated from our soul journeys work in collaboration together. It's almost like because I played D&D for a little bit with my kids and their dad when I lived down there a few years ago full time, and we played D&D, and so I got to pick my character, like I got to pick my charisma level, and I got to pick, like, I was a druid, and I got to pick all these things, and it's like that, right? Like our configuration, and then because of the different configurations that I had, I was really good at certain things, and they would send me in to do certain things on the mission, versus another person might be sent in for a different mission, and in the game. But it was so symbolic, because it's like that's how it is. We have all these different sort of configurations that work together. But I feel like there's something, and I think the message with that, really, with just the high priestess and the fairy, is just the grounding. It's like having both. It's like bird medicine, and there's the owl again too. It's like the birds are connected to. A friend of mine was she was doing a session for my daughter, and we were having this communication with the birds during and after, and my daughter had connected with birds a couple weeks before, so a lot with the birds. And so it was my friend pointed out, it's like they're of the sky and they're on the ground. They fly, but they also can have their feet on the ground. They're both. And so just that reminder, I feel like my eye caught the fairy and all of that reminder. And I think again, the connection with that woman, just, okay. So again, reading your life like a tarot, noticing who you're connecting with, who's coming into your life now, what the connections are, what parts of you they're highlighting and sort of like, bringing out in you, and seeing that, like, oh, that's what I need right now. Like I'm moving into this, more of this is activating, for a lot of us, but also that reminder to be really grounded and to be really connected to the earth at the same time, because when this stuff starts flooding in and opening up, and that's what happened to my daughter, she got really ungrounded because her spiritual center just opened up super fast, and so that's actually how she started coming and living with me, because it's like she was alone a lot out in the desert, where, and I'm the same way when I'm in the desert. I just kind of like, it's grounding in a way, but it's like astral grounding, like I ground in the astral, but it's like just get like super spacious, these wide open spaces and the stars and the sun. I just journey with the desert all the time. But up here in Silver, there's more hills and more trees, and I'm like an hour and a half north during the week, and that's where I do sessions and readings and stuff. But it's like but having her come here, for that grounding, and then the bird message again for her of like, remember both. So I feel like there's a bit of a message that's coming along with, if we're going to get that monatomic gold, or, sun gaze, or whatever it is, or, however we do to open up to more of ourselves, remember to ground, right? Especially for those of us that's always been a little tricky anyway. So, all right, I'm at 43 minutes. I didn't use, a lot of the cards I didn't use. Actually, I think I used most of them, but I'm going to do a closing message now, and we'll see. I might, like, it's okay if I don't use every card every single time. I just always like to. So let's see what we get. I'm just going to do one, start wrapping this up. All right. Oh, this is the card we got last time. That's so beautiful. Fortune. So it's just that reminder again. I am going to end on this card because it's just such a beautiful ending. And then the 9 card is like, we're almost there. We're almost there. It's not quite a 10, not quite a completion, but it's like the 9 of Pentacles where you're good. You're good. You're good on your own. You have it all. You're like positioned to receive. You're positioned to receive your 10th Pentacle. It's all coming to you. Victory, victory. You've passed the test. Your heart is pure. You're in alignment with this. You're in alignment with this. It's like this is what's coming, and again, it's like we're crossing that finish line, and it might be a little while, as we cross, it might be kind of a distance, but it's starting, and this is again that reminder of like this is around the corner for us, and flooding in for a lot of us. We're feeling this already. We're having a lot of abundance. We're having in all sorts of ways, whatever way it's coming, even if it's an abundance of this, an abundance of connection, or abundance of soul connection, or abundance of synchronicities, or abundance of apricots on those fruit trees, or whatever it is, whatever it is, stuff's starting to flesh out, and only more and more and more. So okay, I'm going to end there on that gorgeous message of co-creation. Look, all that orange chakra. Oh, also, I'm going to try to remember to say, if you would like a private reading, if you're on Facebook, you can send me a message, and if you're listening on YouTube, you can just comment, and I'll get back to you through the comment. And if you're in town and you would like one in person, I'm reading at Mystics on Thursdays from 2 to 5, so feel free to reach out to them or to me. And I think that's all. That I wanted to say about that. So yeah, thank you for for being here and for everything. I mean, I feel like we did a really huge move this weekend, and here we are with this full moon, and just coming off that eclipse. But in the eclipse window, in the middle of that cartwheel, about to do another one. I know what I was going to say. I'm going to be away next week. I'm going to be traveling, which is really interesting because the last time I traveled to Colorado to visit with my parents was during the eclipse as well, and I didn't plan either of them this way. It's just happening. So that's really interesting how a lot of us are being called to specific places during the eclipses to have our energy there for whatever work or transmissions need to be spread. I mean, talk about transmissions. Look at this light. All the work that we've been doing, just being moved around on the earth too, and like a grid too. All of us being placed in different places, connecting with each other as well, and some configuration in that, which would be fun to decode. Yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna go. So blessings on your eclipse. So I won't be here. I won't be on next week because I'll be traveling, but I will be back, and probably on that next eclipse on the 8th, because I like to do these on Mondays. So I'll see you then. So blessings on your next 2 weeks. Blessings on your next 2 weeks, and I'll see you when I get back. Okay. Much love. Thank you. Bye.